I got Gunz.
What's up, guys? This is going to be part 1 of the Gunz tutorial series. Part 2 is going to be the synth, and then part 3 is going to be the mastering. So I'm going to go through the entire song and show you pretty much every track, how I made it. So without messing around, let's get started. So I'm just going to solo the drums real quick to show you what we're going to be doing. So here you go.
I got Gunz. I got Gunz.
So that's what I'm going to show you how to make. Start off from the very beginning of the song. The first thing that comes in is the clap. So here it is. I'm going to give you guys the clap. So first things first, you can hear there's some reverb on it. So I'm going to turn that off for a second while we just go through the basic samples. You can see I've got 3 clap samples layered here to make it nice and thick. The first one sounds like this. Nothing too crazy, just boosted the high end a little bit on the EQ. Second one sounds like this. So you see I've mixed some samples in there to kind of vary it and give it some rhythm and some dynamics. And then the third one, and then I was going to show you the EQ here, and just boosted it a little bit right there. And this third one is kind of like the reverse clap going into it on the 2 and the 4. So it sounds like this. And then you put them all together and you get something like this. And then you can see they're all grouped here, this blue clap group. And I've put an EQ on all of them. This is the Waves VEQ4. Just boosted the high frequencies a little bit and the low mid frequencies to give them some warmth, I guess. Don't have to worry about the low frequencies. And then put some compression on it, which is really, it makes a huge difference. It brings them all together. You're going to see that window popping up whenever I open some of these plugins. It's really annoying, but it's because I'm running I have the 32-bit versions of them, and I'm running them in the 64-bit version of Ableton, and it's a great program called JBridge, which allows you to do that, but it has this annoying window that keeps popping up, so just try to ignore it. But as I was saying, there's some compression on them. Here's what they sound like without compression, and then with. So that really, brings them all together and glues them. There's no real method in my madness. I just kind of like move this thinger around, which I believe is the technical term for it. And the last thing is the reverb that's on it. So I'll turn this reverb back on and show you what's going on over here. This is a Lexicon reverb, a Lexicon Hall reverb, and here's how they sound like with the reverb on. And then I put a filter over the reverb too, and I find when you cut the low frequencies out of the reverb, it gives it that nice shiny kind of reverb. So here's what it sounds like with and without the filter on it. So here's without. Pretty cool little trick. But anyway, so that's part 1. There's the clap. Alright, next thing I'm going to show you is the kick. And there's a couple things going on with the kick. There's this attack, and then there's also the 808 tail. But basically I built a little punchy kick to go in front of the 808 just to give it some punch and some attack. So here's what the attack sounds like. And then you put the 808 tail behind it. So let's go through what's happening here. Once again, just use Vengeance samples from Electroshock 2 pack. And this is the first part. This is just kind of the pop mid part of the kick. And then the second one is the low punch. Put them together. And then you can see that they're grouped like I did with the clap, and then they're compressed. This is the Waves H compressor. And there's some EQ on them as well. So I just found where they were punching, and I boosted that section right there. Next part is going to be the 808. So see, I've got a lot of plugins on it, so I'm going to turn all these off real quick. And I made it with Massive. It's pretty basic. Just a sine wave, and then yeah, like a little bit of high pass. I just kind of messed around with some stuff on here. Sine shaper, and then the parabolic shaper, just to give it some texture. And then the big thing is going to be this the amp envelope 4 right here, and you can mess with the release to make it the tail as long or as short as you want. So I have it about like right there. And then put a buttload of compression on it. So you can see there's two compressors stacked on top of each other, and then an auto filter on top of that, just to cut out any high frequencies, which there aren't really any, but you know, just to be safe and get out any mud. So here's what it sounds like with the compression on. You can see how much that brings up the attack. And then I use the multiband dynamics and the OTT preset and just kind of tweak that. If you're not using the multiband dynamics plugin, you need to start doing it because it's freaking life-changing. And that's pretty much it for the 808. And as you see, I've bounced that to audio right here. And then here's what it sounds like with that punchy kick in front of it. And that is the first 808 in the track. The second 808 is a little bit more complicated. It's the distorted, like nasty 808, like a long hardstyle kick almost sounds like. And it's like the real beef of the song. And once I get to the drop section, I'll show you how to make that thing. But first is this little snare. So you can see here, once again, just another Vengeance sample. This is from like Vengeance Electro Collection 3 or something like that. And basically it's a little EQ, cut the low end out, boost this high end here. And then this is one of my favorite plugins, the D82 Sonic Maximizer. It just beefs it up, adds some crispiness to it. So I'll turn it on and off. Gosh, these things are so annoying. And then you can see on the snare, if I go to the fades here, that I've faded it to make it nice and short. So on these rolls, that's some dynamics, and it also just makes it nice and punchy and crisp. So then when you get to, you know, the stuff like this over here, so that's another little tip for you. You know, don't just use the same sample or just the same copy and paste. You know, make your own little fades to vary it up. So next is this build-up section right here, which sounds like this. I pretty much showed you how to make all those drums. I'm just using that punchy kick as the kick. And there's no really 808 or anything right here. It's just that snare and the clap and the kick. And then I've added a hi-hat as well. That guy right there, nothing special. But I do want to bring to your attention, this is about song structure. You'll notice everything goes in measures of 16 bars. So the intro is 16 bars long, and the build up is 16 bars, and then this is 8 bars. You know, so you want everything to be in sections of 16 or 8 bars, because when you're DJing, that's how you measure stuff. Sometimes I'll listen to people's songs that they send me, and it's like they'll have like a 6-bar build-up, and then like the drop comes in. It sounds super weird because it's you know, your mind knows, and when you're DJing, that can really throw you off if like something's like 6 bars long. So yeah, just pay attention to the 8 and 16 bars. Keep that in mind. Every good producer knows that. So yeah, we have this build-up section. And the next thing is the drop. So here's what the drop sounds like. Just kidding, it sounds like this. So when the drop hits, there are several new like drum sounds that come in. One of them are these little accent things that sound like this. And I used Contact to get these things, and then I just recorded them to audio. Here's like the first one. Another one's like... And basically, I'm just using Contact, and Evolve Mutations 2 is like one of the plugins that I use a lot. And it's just got a lot of little like... Let me record this or whatever. Sounds like that. It's really fun to mess around with, and adds little accents to your rhythm sections. So once you throw them in with everything else, here's how it sounds. You also notice when the drop hits, I've got that clap that I showed you before playing with the snare under it. So it's more than just the clap. There's that snare and then the clap on top. So together they sound like this. And another thing with that snare is I have it set into some other reverb. I don't have it going to the same reverb as the clap. Here's the snare reverb right here. So I used one of the Ableton like bright reverb presets, and then I did the auto filter trick that I showed you before, some EQing, and then I put a compressor on it just to make it stick around longer and louder. So yeah, that's that. And the last thing, I guess, is that 808. So the last part is the 808, which is the real beef for the drop. And it's just like the 808 that I showed you before. Start off with the same massive patch and everything, and then same compression. I've just got a ton of distortion on it. So here's what it sounds like. Alright, for this next part, I'm going to be using a plugin called Omicide. Omicide, not Omnicide. That's an H, not an N. And besides, it comes before the M. If I hear one more person call it Omnicide, I will literally chop your balls off. This is called an ohm. This is the symbol for it. It's a unit of electrical resistance and measurement by a German physicist, Greg Simon Ohm. Here's that symbol again. And this is how you pronounce it.
Ohm. Ohm. Ohm.
So don't call it frickin' Omnicide. Anyway, I'm going to take all of these distortion plugins off so you can hear what it sounds like, this 808 sound. It's the same exact 808 that I showed you before. Same massive patch and same compression and everything. I just have all this distortion on it. The first plugin is this plugin called RBass, which adds harmonics or something to your sub bass. Makes it sound a lot fuller. The next plugin is just a Waves EQ. The Renaissance EQ6. Boosted a little bit right there and cut out a lot of the junk below it. And then next is Isotope Trash. Doesn't sound like it's adding a lot, but for some reason when I made this I decided it was. Anyway, the next one is Omicide, as we discussed before. And this is where it really starts to get gritty and nasty. And I'm not going to go through every single knob on there. If you want to copy the settings, you can pause the video and look. But when I do this, I'm just twisting knobs. There's no secret touch or anything. I'm just twisting and adjusting to what I want it to sound like and what I hear in my head. And then after that, there's another trash plugin. So basically, we're like distorting the distortion even more. So here's what it sounds like. Getting more of those high frequencies. And then this is like the only section that I used for that. So if you want to copy these settings, bam, there you go. And then the last one is just the stock Ableton Overdrive. Basically, my goal was to get like those high frequencies really brought out by the distortion. So that's what it's doing. And then the last thing is just this Q10 equalizer, because I felt when I was mixing it, like there was just like some really resonant frequencies right here with like all the distortion, and I wanted to just like sit in the sub bass and then like the mids and like the highs, and this dirty section can produce a lot of junk right here. I just wanted to take it out. So here's how it sounds. Go away. And then once again, using that OTT multi-band dynamics preset, and just tweaked it a little bit, and that's it for the 808. You put it all together. I recorded it. I put it all to audio, and then I like to arrange it, you know, slice by slice here. So when you put everything together, it sounds like this. last thing is just the hi-hats. So the first 8 bars of the drop is just like basically the kick and then some of the little accent thingies I was telling you about and the clap. And then after the first 8 bars is when I bring the hi-hat in. So it sounds like this. I'm also going to show you that little reverse sound right here. All I did for that is I took this snare and recorded it, the reverb, and then reversed it. So what you get is this. If I extend it, you'll hear the snare. But when you put both these together, it's a cool little effect. And then that's when the hi-hats come in. I don't typically use the drum machines or whatever, but for this, with all the hi-hat trills and the quick like 30-second note stuff, I wanted to adjust the velocity instead of just copy and pasting the same sample. So you see how much I did for the velocity right down here. So I mean, it doesn't sound like a real hi-hat, but if that was like the same sample over and over again, it'd get really, really annoying, in my opinion. So you have these like trills and like open hi-hat. So it's much easier to program that, in my opinion, than it is to just use samples. And then as far as the mixing goes, just this EQ, cut out all the junk from below it, and boost the highs around 10K. And then I use this Oxford transient modulator to just really make it sharp and quick on the transients and the attack. So if you can hear that or not. And the last thing is I put a filter delay on it. Not to give it like delay, but to give it a stereo effect, because usually this it sounds very mono. And basically what I'm doing with this filter delay is, here's the left side, here's the right side. It's got a little filter on it, and I set the time for this one to 1 millisecond and 10 milliseconds over here. So it's just splitting that up, and there's slightly delaying like your ears on both sides to give you that stereo effect. So yeah, that is pretty much it. That will do it for the drums of Gunz. The next one, I'm going to be going through the synth. So yeah, that will all be in part 2. So that's it for part 1. I hope it wasn't too terribly long and boring and it helps you out. If you want to help me out, please buy the song at the link below. Peace.